Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this Trust 23 session. Today, we're going to be covering the future of mainframe is in the cloud, and we have two lovely presenters for you today. We have Ashwin Ramachandran, who's the Senior Director of Product Management for Data Integration here at Precisely, and Maggie Lee, a Principal Engineer from AWS. We have a really great session for you today, and we want to make sure that we are able to interact with you. So while you're here, you're able to ask a question using the Q&A tab so you can communicate with the presenters. There will be time to answer questions at the end of the presentation, so be sure to stick around. You can also use the demo chat and content buttons in the menu on the left-hand side and below in the session details. After you finish the session, we'd love to hear your feedback. So please feel free to use the thumbs up button to give us your feedback, or you can respond later in a post-event notification. Without further ado, I'll turn it over to Ashwin.
Thank you so much, Brittany, and welcome everybody to the session. Really excited to discuss this topic with you. So let's start out. Let's talk about mainframes. Mainframes continue to be the backbone for a lot of the biggest organizations in the world. 71% of the Fortune 500 use them. 92 top world banks use them, and they continue to run core applications. It may surprise you to know that 90% of credit card transactions still happen on mainframe systems, and the scalability of the platform is truly unmatched. On average, you see about 2.5 billion transactions per day per mainframe, but when you look at newer platforms, they can continue to push transaction volumes far higher than that. So really, really interesting platform. Now, another thing that I think is important to keep in mind here is it's also a very cost-effective platform, often more cost-effective than other solutions. Overall, worldwide, mainframe systems handle about 68% of IT workloads, but that only accounts for 6% of the total IT spend. So think about that. You've got a really performant, scalable, cost-effective platform. And so it's no secret why organizations are looking to continue to invest in it. 2020 Deloitte run study on companies that used mainframe revealed some really interesting data. Over 3/4 of the survey participants considered mainframe systems to continue to be important for their operations, even though they actively subscribe to a lot of cloud computing services. So businesses are considering mainframe systems as strategic technology solutions for long-term survival and operation. Over 91% of the participants expressed interest in continuing to invest in the platform and saw it as a moderate to critical priority in the next 12 months. And 72% of the businesses who took the survey revealed that they're looking to continue to upgrade the system within the next 3 years. So all of this is to say, it's a very relevant platform, and it's not a platform that we see going away anytime soon. Now, if we move on to the next slide, let's talk about the flip side to this coin and really the other component of the talk today, and that's the cloud. So a Gartner study says that 85% of organizations will be embracing a cloud-first principle by 2025. We've talked a lot about what the hybrid IT landscape looks like in the earlier keynote sessions, and so it's no secret really that cloud is the future and a core component of the overall IT stack moving forward. Over half of data leaders cite data modernization as one of the compelling reasons for that shift to the cloud. This is from a Deloitte study. But a key thing to keep in mind here is, McKinsey estimates that there's approximately $100 billion of wasted migration spend over the next 3 years. So we talked about cost efficiency on the mainframe. It's important to kind of achieve similar cost-effective migration when going to the cloud, right? Inefficient migration comes at a very heavy cost. Now, when you look at that and break it down, so this study by McKinsey showed that 75% of cloud migration projects are over budget, and 38% of them run behind schedule. Now, there's a couple of different factors that can contribute to that, ranging from 38% of survey respondents indicating that they don't have the necessary cloud skills in-house to properly manage these projects, and then some unexpected costs that they incur when decommissioning other platforms. Now, as a result, coming out of this study, they found that companies are over time looking to staff over or about half of their cloud talent in-house so that they don't have to necessarily rely as heavily on third parties. Now, I'd like to pass the stage to Maggie to talk a little bit more about mainframe modernization with AWS.
Thank you, Ashwin, and hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here today to present with Ashwin. As Ashwin mentioned, inefficient migrations can be costly. Choosing the right solutions, services, and people is critical. Recently, AWS was named a leader in the 2023 ISG Provider Lens for mainframe application modernization. Why us? At Amazon, we work backwards from customers' needs. Our customers told us that modernizing mainframe workloads to the cloud was a priority and a challenge to them. So we committed to helping them address this by building strong mainframe to cloud capabilities. Customers uh, modernize mainframes with us for three main reasons. The first reason is agility. Agility is a business ability to respond quickly and inexpensively to change. We provide agility for mainframe workloads in many ways. For example, DevOps, elasticity, APIs, and managed service. The second reason is cost reduction. Customers have seen between 60% and 90% cost savings when migrating mainframe workloads to our cloud. We also offer services and mechanisms to track and optimize costs further. Our transparent, cost-aware architecture helps customers control spending and align costs with needs. And savings can fund further modernization and innovation projects. The third reason is risk mitigation. Customers want to avoid risks like a mainframe specialist retiring, slow change due to complexity, siloed platforms, and vendor lock-in. In summary, we deliver agility, cost reduction, and risk mitigation. Let's look at the technical approach to achieving this through AWS Mainframe Modernization Service. Next slide, please. Our AWS Mainframe Modernization Service is a cloud-native platform to modernize, migrate, run, and operate mainframe applications. We accelerate modernization and innovate continually for our customers. Our service provides the capabilities to analyze, transform, develop, and operate mainframe workloads. It leverages cutting-edge tool chains, AWS and partner expertise, and a dynamic unified platform. There are 4 steps in the journey, and we carefully chose tools in each step. The service supports 4 popular patterns. The automated refactoring pattern and replatforming pattern are used for application migration. They are available as fully managed runtime environments and pay-as-you-go services. The data replication pattern and file transfer pattern are for data modernization. They are available through integrations. Today, I'm going to introduce the data replication pattern. It replicates mainframe data to AWS in real time with the integrated Precisely replication solution. It unleashes data-based innovations and use cases, leverages AWS Mainframe Modernization Service and the wide choice of AWS services. It also enables advanced analytics, machine learning, seamless data modernization, and new functions and channels. There are 3 major use cases for the AWS mainframe modernization data replication pattern with Precisely. So the first use case augments mainframes with Agile AWS analytics. Mainframes hold decades of business and IT operational data. Using our AWS mainframe modernization data replication, customers replicate this data to AWS in near real time or batch. We offer end-to-end data management from injection, processing, storage, and analysis to virtualization and automation. The replication service copies mainframe relational, hierarchical, and databases or legacy file data to AWS data lakes, data warehouse, or data stores in near real time or batch. The mainframe remains the source of record, and the real time replication keeps data fresh, enabling up to date analytics and dashboards. With our AWS analytics, customers can create data warehouse and data lakes to combine structured and unstructured data, leverage AI and machine learning and other advanced technologies, and gain new insights from the core mainframe data. So the second use case leverages our AWS mainframe modernization with Precisely for large-scale modernizations. A mainframe typically comprises multiple interdependent workloads. Each workload may have data stores and a transaction system. Based on business and IT needs, workloads follow different modernization paths. There is no one-size-fits-all approach. So for large workload, we break them down into individual workloads and start modernizing them one by one to AWS. This approach allows to gain experience and momentum rather than attempting a challenging big bang migrations of the entire mainframe at once. Each workload is modernized separately to AWS according to its business and technical requirements. Since the various workloads on mainframe often share data, customers can leverage our data replication service to synchronize that data in near real time between the mainframe and AWS. This ensures that workloads on mainframe have the access to the current data, even as some workloads remain on the mainframe. The third use case involves building new channels and functions. Data can be replicated bidirectionally between mainframe and AWS. On AWS, customers can innovate quickly to develop new functions like mobile or voice applications using microservices and machine learning. Since mainframe development is typically slow, customers choose AWS to build services rapidly. These new AWS services access real-time mainframe data in AWS data stores, either relational or NoSQL databases. This resembles the first use case, but the data is used not for analytics, but for new communication channels and functions for end users. Our agile AWS functions augment mainframe applications. This avoids increasing expensive mainframe resources by deploying new channels on our AWS instead. So we work closely with partners like Precisely to drive customer success. We have curated mainframe competencies with partners who have deep expertise in AWS mainframe modernization and cloud services. Beyond our mainframe modernization service and partners, we also uniquely support mainframe application modernization in several ways. Here, I give you some examples. The first example is we have dedicated mainframe modernization teams for sales, product, marketing across commercial, public sector, and FSI. No other cloud provider invests so heavily in mainframe modernization skills. The second example I can give you is we have a MAP program, the Migration Acceleration Program, that offers guidance, tooling, and investment for mainframe modernization. The third one is we have AWS professional services. Our services help customers adopt and implement the latest mainframe modernization offers. We are uniquely positioned to support mainframe workload migrations to our cloud through dedicated teams, programs, services, and partners with proven expertise. Together with partners like Precisely, we provide a comprehensive solution for mainframe modernization. Thank you. I look forward to your questions after the presentation. Now I hand it over back to Ashwin for some case studies.
Thank you so much for walking through that, Maggie. We're obviously very excited about the opportunity to help so many of our customers who depend on the mainframe, help modernize them into AWS. And I think the next couple slides I want to chat through really highlight some customer successes with AWS. The first one is with a North American bank. Now, this is one of the nation's oldest financial institutions, about a couple, $200 billion in assets. They offer a broad range of products across retail and commercial banking. And the key thing that they are focused on was offering customized, tailored advice, solutions, and ideas that are really set upon their customers' needs. So looking to deliver on this promise of a digital banking experience. Now, setting this goal of building out this digital banking experience required them, and informed this technical requirement to modernize their mainframe. So what did that mean? Well, key struggles that they had was around delivering consistent, accurate data across their various customer channels. So, they had email channels, phone, web, mobile, and the challenge there was their data integration architecture wasn't set up to provide that consistent view of data across channels. And so what ended up happening is customers would tend to go to what ended up being the most expensive channel for the bank to get information about their accounts, their products, etc. Now, what that also created was a missed opportunity, because the bank couldn't get this consistent view of data across their various channels, and they didn't have the integration infrastructure set up to do that. They were missing opportunities to sell additional services to their clients, resulting in lost revenue. And then finally, if it wasn't bad enough, the existing integration patterns that they had in place were expensive. It was costing them, close to $1 million to provide this more real-time data off of the mainframe into their existing data channels. So what did they do? So this is where Precisely and AWS came together to be able to offer them a better solution and a better end result. So number one, by leveraging Connect to replicate in near real time their data off of the mainframe into the AWS cloud, specifically using Kafka as a streaming bus, they were able to reduce their MIPS usage. So they were able to drive down mainframe compute. The customer estimated it was actually about 80% reduction in MIPS usage just for their integration pipelines. Number two, they got a more improved customer experience, right? Because the data was no longer inconsistent across channels, customers could trust the data that they were getting, and that allowed the bank to leverage more lower cost customer service channels to address customer needs. Number three, and a key benefit here, was faster time to market to build their solution, right? So by their estimation, competitive alternatives would have taken 150 to 250 extra days to get to where the customer is now. And with Connect, they were really able to speed that time to market. And then finally, the reduction in both extra system processing costs, manual costs, etc., resulted in an overall 6% cost reduction, which, is a really great outcome for them. So, I think it's really important here to emphasize that mainframe modernization doesn't just mean driving costs. It doesn't just mean migrating an application, right? It could be bringing a net new offering to market while reducing costs, while replatforming some existing workloads into the AWS cloud. And so I think this customer is a great example of doing all three of those things. Now, the next customer story I'd like to jump to is around a North American payments processor. So their goal here was they service a bunch of clients in the banking sector, and they're looking to migrate those customers' core banking applications to the AWS cloud. So things like payments, balance transfers, etc. And they wanted to do that while providing customers a more modern user experience, greater scalability, and future maintainability. It's easier to get skills in the market who are familiar with AWS and are proficient in that platform. It's much harder to do that in the same way when it comes to the mainframe. So what their requirement was, they needed to deliver data from these operational mainframe backends spanning IMS databases, vSAM backends, DB2 databases. They needed to deliver that to the AWS cloud so that front-end applications running in that environment could consume it and provide that modern UX to their end clients. So key challenges that they had to solve for. Number one, how do we get to this near real-time data delivery without impacting our mainframe and driving up costs on that platform? Number two, because they're servicing a wide array of different clients, they needed a process that was going to be repeatable. They couldn't keep building out these patterns on a bespoke customer by customer basis, right? They need to be able to build a key template, and in that case, roll that out to a variety of the different clients downstream. And lastly, they really wanted an organization that would partner with their needs. I mean, they're doing some pretty complex stuff, right? With very mission critical applications moving to the AWS cloud. And so they needed to ensure that they'd have a partner who could help them with their scalability challenges, delivering new capabilities that would help them be successful. And so all of these things were of top of mind for them. Now, by deploying Connect in their environment with AWS, they're able to get the scale that they need. So delivering their data in near real time. Today, when the data goes from the mainframe backend to the to the front end applications in AWS, that's on the order of hundreds of milliseconds that they're experiencing, right? So that met that requirement for them. At scale, they're pushing, billions of transactions an hour. So they needed that scalability. They're not impacting their mainframes. There's no back pressure on the mainframe. So the core banking systems that are running there can continue to run without any added performance strain. And then lastly, because of our simplified deployment and utility-like operation, they're able to onboard clients very quickly, right? They've built out a template. Now they can roll that template out client by client by client. All right, so then let's jump. I'd like to talk a little bit more about kind of how this fits into what we do with data integration from the data integrity suite perspective. So Anjan earlier today walked through, how we address these core challenges that businesses have struggled with, and how we do that in the data integrity suite. So the challenges being, right, or those core tenets being data access, being owned by IT, massive loosely integrated solutions, data that needs to be brought to a solution, slow batch ETL processes, separate business and IT metadata, and rules-based data management. Well, how does data integration and the data integrity suite fit into this and address this? You may have seen in the demo earlier that the suite allows for more collaboration between IT and business data users. Because the suite's built on this scalable shared data catalog of business and technical metadata, those assets can be mapped to each other, lineage and impact analysis can be performed, and requirements from the business can be fed to IT. IT can act on those requirements and deliver value back. Because you can just leverage the capabilities that you need, that promotes more agility, right? There's not a heavy upfront investment in capabilities, right? Just use what you need and deploy them. Now, one key thing is we try to deploy wherever the customer requires. So specifically when it comes to the mainframe, right, we need to ensure that we are operating in a very secure fashion. We deploy our data replication pipelines within our customer's data center or within their VPC, right? So they can kind of control who's accessing the mainframe, who's touching the data, et cetera. And then lastly, I would say is, we're doing this all in a near real-time fashion, right? So we're focused on, like we talked about for those 2 customer stories before, really ensuring that we can help customers integrate and operate at the speed of their business. So with that said, key benefits that we're able to deliver data integration. And we saw some of these benefits with the customer stories. Number one, helping customers accelerate their application modernization, whether that means, moving the data across so that you can build a net new application, migrating a current application, or using any of the integration patterns Maggie talked about before. Number two, which I think is really important, we talked about the statistics. The mainframe is a growing market and customers are continuing to invest in the platform. So we're helping customers extend the value of their mainframe data. It really is a treasure trove of not just historical insight, but also active, up to the minute business insight. We help customers more easily democratize data access, right? Now that the data is delivered in a near real-time fashion, it's available to the business for imposing greater governance protocols, investigating trends in the data, volume alerts, things of that nature. And because we've developed and deploy this in a future-proof way, you can deploy your data integration pipelines maybe in your data center today, within your VPC tomorrow. The market is moving very quickly and technology trends continue to accelerate. And so a key piece of value we're trying to bring for our customers is helping them, future-proof their architecture when it comes to the data integration side. I think we saw this with that payments processor earlier. They were able to build it once, roll it out to their different clients. And then I think lastly, with data integration, we're really dealing with very complex data formats here, right? We're dealing with transactional vSAN data sets under CICS control, COBOL copybooks with weird, redefines and occurs depending on clauses and packed data types and IMS DBDs, right? There's a lot of complex data that we're able to handle with the suite in this fashion. So those are the key benefits I really wanted to talk about. Obviously, these benefits sit within the larger context of the data integrity suite here. Data integration is built on this common catalog with this agent-based deployment architecture, so you can deploy these workloads within your cloud, within your VPC, within your on-premises data center, et cetera. So with that, I just want to talk about a couple of key takeaways. I think number one, your data strategy needs to be comprehensive enough to address the complexity of the mainframe and the cloud, right? We talked about a lot of business value that can be derived by doing that. Number two, and I want to stress this one, modernization does not necessarily mean migration. All of the customer use cases that we talked about earlier today, those are customers who are optimizing their existing mainframe footprint, finding use cases for that rich data, and putting together a modernization strategy that allows them to keep the mainframe doing what it does best while leveraging that data for new use cases, right? So modernization does not necessarily equal migration. And I think lastly, a solid integration strategy is a key to success. I oftentimes talk about integration as, plumbing for your home, right? You don't really think about your plumbing if everything's working okay. But the second something goes wrong with your plumbing, it's all you can focus on, and it prevents you from doing, the more important things that you need to do with your time. So a solid integration strategy really is a key to driving success here. So with that said, a couple next steps I want to talk through here. Number one, if you want to learn more and see more, please request a demo or a live trial. You can actually see how the suite and AWS together can help you modernize your mainframe. You're please welcome to schedule a conversation with our Precisely experts who can really dive deep into the details and all the technical nitty-gritty and some more customer success stories. We've got more content published at the link here between Precisely and AWS and what the great work that we're doing together to help our customers modernize their mainframes. And then lastly, give us your feedback. We thrive on it. We want to know what you thought of it, what you liked, what you thought could be better, and that's going to help this content stay relevant for you going into the future. So with that, I will toss it to all of you for Q&A.